Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are intentionally bypassing the complex data analysis, the big research papers.
Right.
Our mission is still to gain knowledge, but we're not looking up and out. We're sort of looking inward. We're going to be examining the personal notes and reflections of a really intentional thinker.
I love this kind of source material.
Yeah, this is a deep dive into the practical pursuit of finding what she calls extraordinary gratitude, but nested inside the most ordinary things.
And this is, exactly the kind of source that gives you an immediate, applicable, intellectual edge.
It feels that way.
Yeah, we're working with excerpts from a series called Ordinary Things, Extraordinary Gratitude.
Okay.
And we're going to focus on 3 specific days, day 10, day 11, and day 12, from November 23rd to the 25th.
And this is part of a bigger series.
It is, yeah. It comes from the larger 13 Days of SNEACful Gifts, Simple Gratitude series.
And the author, of course, is Frederica Carrier. She's known in this whole intentional living space as the SNEAcful infrastructure pioneer and the founder of SNEACful Gifts. Now, for listeners who might be new to this, those terms, SNEAC, infrastructure, they sound like, highly specialized jargon.
They can, yeah.
So before we get into her examples, we have to define the framework. What exactly is this structure, and why is it so central to her whole philosophy of gratitude?
That's a critical starting point. I mean,
Right.
if we don't get the structure, we miss the whole mechanism.
Right.
And while the source doesn't spell out every letter of SNEAC, that infrastructure part, well, that tells you everything you need to know about its purpose.
How so?
It's a structured methodology for internalizing things, or, as she puts it, entering intentionality. You can think of it like a scaffolding for your mind.
Scaffolding, I like that. So it's not just a list of nice thoughts. It's a systematic way of seeing and interpreting the world.
Precisely. Her entire intention for you, the listener, is to radically shift your focus. I mean, we typically wait for the big stuff, right?
The promotions, the milestone.
Exactly, the extraordinary events. We wait for those to trigger gratitude. But Carrier's methodology, this SNEACful approach, it demands that you train your awareness on the small things that are always overlooked.
Always.
And she's basically saying that if you build this appreciation for the ordinary into your mental structure, the truly extraordinary outcomes, whether they're professional or emotional, they'll just naturally follow.
Because they're built on something solid.
A solid foundation of functional appreciation. Yes.
So she's offering a formula then. Something like ordinary appreciation plus intentional focus equals an extraordinary outcome.
That is the core thesis. You've got it. And in setting up this series, she doesn't just dismiss traditional gratitude, the big pillars like family, faith.
The usual suspects.
The usual suspects, yeah. She deliberately sets them aside. She says, look, those are the default settings. I'm interested in the intentional override, forcing herself, and by extension the listener, to really examine the foundational, mundane elements of life that, keep everything running smoothly.
That distinction is so key. The ordinary isn't the exception, it's the constant.
It is.
And the source material really emphasizes this. She says, ordinary is all around, simple and ordinary. I believe being grateful for the ordinary will lead me to the extraordinary.
And that line, that's not just philosophical fluff.
No, it feels like an instruction.
It's the operating instruction for the next 3 days of reflections that we're about to analyze. What's fascinating here is how she frames the mundane as, foundational material. It gives the ordinary this profound systemic importance.
So if you want extraordinary results,
you have to first appreciate the stability and the functional necessity of your ordinary environment. It all starts there.
Okay, let's bring this abstract concept into focus. Let's jump into the specific examples. We can start with day 10. That's November 23rd.
Let's do it.
On this day, she initially focused on what she called the divine, which, that gives the reflections a very high-level starting point.
It does, and this is where her description of her mind's journey gives us this real insight into the infrastructure.
What does she say?
She describes her mind resting in principles, dipped in the supernatural, and splashing about in the practical. I love that phrasing.
Me too, splashing about in the practical.
And then she notes the mind always goes there, from high heaven to the practical. It's a deliberate journey, you see. From the highest abstract concept all the way down to the immediate tangible reality.
That mental movement is vital because it explains the gratitude choice she makes. You start with the divine, you process eternal principles.
Yeah.
You'd expect the reflection to land on some profound spiritual growth.
You would.
But when she lands in the practical, she finds gratitude for TV dinners.
Yeah, and we have to spend a moment on the nuance here because this isn't just any TV dinner. This is where the mechanism of representation comes into play.
What do you mean?
She wasn't just grabbing some generic microwaved meal. She specifically mentions eating a frozen meal prepared by a famously high-end chef.
Oh, okay. So it's not the substance of the ordinary thing she's grateful for, but maybe the structural delivery of quality within an ordinary format.
Exactly. You nailed it. She immediately acknowledges the compromise. She says, it may not be the same thing as sitting in the restaurant, but it still was a really good representation.
The representation.
That's the key insight, the ability to appreciate representation when reality isn't immediately accessible. The quality, the structure of the meal, the experience of that culinary excellence, it was all successfully translated into the ordinary form of a TV dinner.
But doesn't that open her up to a bit of critique? I mean, is being grateful for the representation of excellence truly moving toward the extraordinary? Or is it, just settling for less?
That is a necessary question to ask. And I think her defense, which is kind of embedded in the context, is that intentional focus prevents it from being settling. For her, the gratitude isn't for the convenience of the microwave. The gratitude is for the success of the structure, the delivery system that efficiently brought a moment of high-quality pleasure into her ordinary, busy life.
It proves that excellence is scalable.
It's scalable and transferable, even into a cardboard tray. And if you can appreciate that functional scaling, you can start to find that extraordinary structure in a lot more places. It shifts your focus from an object's price tag to its ability to deliver an experience.
So that frames it not as settling, but as recognizing optimized functional quality.
Yeah.
If you, the listener, were to apply this, it would be like appreciating the functionality of your well-designed software.
Or a smoothly operating piece of household tech.
Right. The representation of brilliant engineering delivered to you simply.
Precisely. It's an appreciation of invisible operational flow.
Okay, so now let's move to day 11. This is November 24th. This day focused on learning new things, but more poignantly, it's centered on remembering simple things.
And this one is so relatable.
The simple thing she remembered was, the childhood joy of making a paper airplane.
Right.
She writes that she couldn't even recall the last time she'd done it, so she engaged in the simple task. And she found it to be a simple thing to do for such a return.
And we have to analyze that gap, right?
Right.
Minimal effort, maximum emotional yield.
It's huge.
What stands out to me is the deep sensory and emotional language she uses to describe this really low-stakes task. This wasn't just a distraction for her, it was a psychological reset.
What kind of language?
Well, she mentions the experience brought her to giggles, which is great. She describes the folding as feeling like magic, and there was real excitement about the precision of the folds, the tactile feel of the paper, creating the shape.
It's a complete visceral feedback loop.
That's it. And if you contrast this with the typical emotional return of the professional world, where feedback is slow, success is delayed, stakes are high.
The paper airplane offers an immediate, tangible proof of competence. You made a thing, and it works.
Absolutely. The climax is the anticipation of that test flight, and then watching it successfully fly around the room.
I can feel that.
Yeah. And she calls this sweet success, a much-needed success. Think about that phrase, much needed. Here you have a professional with major publishing projects, a busy schedule, and yet the success of a folded piece of paper was paramount in that moment.
It's like a mental correction.
Yeah.
It's the intentional choice to prioritize an immediate, pure emotional win over the grinding, delayed gratification of long-term professional goals.
And she explicitly makes that connection. She says, and I'm quoting here, that she may not have finished her publishing projects or the rest of her to-dos, and that is okay.
Wow, that is okay.
Yeah. The remembrance of that childhood blueprint and the guaranteed success of the test clay, that made all the difference.
So the knowledge we gain here is that sometimes the quickest path to feeling successful is by executing a simple, forgotten blueprint.
Yes. The paper airplane becomes this ultimate symbol of redefining success based on immediate, high-quality emotional return rather than long-term productivity metrics. It's a deliberate de-stressing mechanism built into her infrastructure.
It's brilliant.
If you're overwhelmed by complex tasks, returning to a simple, guaranteed blueprint, it doesn't just feel good. It restores your sense of agency and competence.
That's a crucial insight for anyone feeling that knowledge overload.
It is. Gratitude in this context is the appreciation for the availability of that immediate success. It's always there for you.
That brings us to day 12, November 25th. Here, the focus moves fully into what she calls the utilitarian ordinary.
And this is where the examples get maybe the most overlooked, and in some ways the most challenging to define as extraordinary.
I was going to say, yeah. She offers two very specific examples of these overlooked gifts. The first one is just having functional buttons on a shirt. The second, and this is the one that really grounds this philosophy in immediate necessity, is being grateful for a stretchy waistband instead of a zipper. When you have to, and I quote, really go to the bathroom.
Right. And this is where we have to challenge the premise a little bit. Is being grateful for a stretchy waistband truly an extraordinary insight? Or is it just appreciating basic minimal comfort?
That's the question.
How does Frederica Carrier defend this appreciation of just utilitarian function as being foundational to reaching the extraordinary?
Well, I think the answer has to lie in the concept of friction.
The one.
We only notice these functional items, buttons, waistbands, zippers, when they cause friction, when they fail.
When the button pops off or the zipper gets stuck.
Exactly. When they work, we operate seamlessly. So her gratitude is for the lack of friction, the efficiency of the design.
Precisely. So if we connect this back to the bigger picture, to the infrastructure, the appreciation of the waistband and the buttons, it reinforces the idea of finding appreciation for the immediate utilitarian structure of daily life.
The things that prevent mini crises.
Yes. These structures prevent momentary crises and discomfort. A functioning button means your appearance is managed. A stretchy waistband means immediate relief is accessible.
It's that appreciation for operational flow again. It strips gratitude down to the essential structural elements that let us move through our day without interruption.
It does.
So the extraordinary outcome, like the ability to focus on high-level projects or be present with your family, is actually contingent upon the ordinary functions of your shirt buttons and your pants working perfectly.
It connects right back to Day 10's focus on functional structure, doesn't it?
It does.
On Day 10, the functional structure delivered excellence, the chef's meal. On Day 12, the functional structure delivers necessary utility and prevents immediate discomfort. Both are foundational acts of appreciation.
It's about a conscious choice.
It's a conscious choice to seek out significance where we typically pay zero attention.
So we've tracked 3 days of intentional observation that move from high principle to the practical delivery of quality.
From the divine to the TV dinner.
Right. Then from abstract professional stress to tangible immediate success.
The paper airplane.
And finally, from just seamless bodily function to structural appreciation.
The waistband.
These are not sweeping philosophical movements, are they? They're small, immediate acts of observation.
All trained by the SNES infrastructure. We saw the appreciation of representation in the TV dinner, the appreciation of immediate guaranteed success in the paper airplane, and the appreciation of utilitarian flow in the stretchy waistband.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? For someone who aims to gain knowledge quickly and thoroughly, this deep dive suggests that information mastery, it isn't just about absorbing complex external data.
No, not at all.
It requires training your observation muscle to see the significance in the smallest details of your environment. It's about recognizing that the aha moment about efficiency or well-being might be hidden in a simple fold of paper or the design of a button.
Absolutely. And I think the final takeaway for us to consider, based on Carrier's methodology, is this. The ordinary things are not just things. They are blueprints.
Blueprints.
Yes. So if the forgotten blueprint of a paper airplane can provide much-needed success and an immediate rush of joy, what other simple forgotten blueprints, whether they are childhood activities, old hobbies, or just the efficient functional structures of everyday objects, what other blueprints hold the key to an immediate joyful rush in your present life?
That's a powerful question.
That is the power of SNEACful Gifts. It's training you to find and reuse those blueprints right now.